Whether it's the Los Angeles 2028 Olympics, the America 250, or the FIFA World Cup, these are events that are going to be hitting headlines if they haven't already. And they're multi billion with a B dollar government spending plans that will define who wins and who misses out for the next decade. My name is Melinda Colón. I am a government contracting strategist, an advisor, a consultant, and I'm also the host of Legacy Builders Unleashed. And today, we're actually going to be diving into how you can actually get into government contracting right now to take part of a transformative, time timely experience that's going to mark history forever, regardless of what you sell. If it's construction services, IT services, professional services like accounting, marketing, advertising, or consulting services like you're a sales speaker or coach. There are so many government contracts that are available every single day. And the number one question that I get back from people when I talk to them about their government contracting journey is, where do I find these opportunities? And being someone who's been in the industry or at least serving in the government market for quite some time and has submitted thousands of proposals and bids for federal, state, local, and education contracts, I would tell you this for sure. If you've ever thought to yourself, you know what, I am really tight to the line. I only have one revenue stream that's making me money, and I want to get government contracts. And maybe you've been thinking too is, well, I got to make time to go get more money. Or you've also been thinking, I don't even know where to start. Where do I find the clients? Where do I find the opportunities? And how do I get involved? How to I can take advantage of this play? Well, today I'm going to share with you several big opportunities that are really hard to miss. In addition to federal spending, which most people talk about at nauseum, that there's federal spending opportunities. There are also state, local, and education opportunities. So, another way of saying that is SLED contracts. Now, your state, local, and education contracts are by far, if you're just getting started in government contracting, are, in my opinion, in my experience, having helped my clients achieve over $4.4 billion in contracts, is that they are actually easier to start with than federal. Reason being is the federal contracts tend to, especially the larger contracts, tend to require more expertise and knowledge. And I'm actually going to stop here for a second and say this. If you're thinking to yourself, and I am not for everyone, but if you're thinking to yourself, oh man, I just need a coach or consultant to guide me through brokering deals with other businesses to win contracts. I am not your consultant. I am not your advisor. What I do is I work with serious business owners who already have expertise, knowledge, and are leveraging that to grow and expand a service business. I want to be really crystal clear and to serve you more so that you can go and find the right person for you, and to also help those that are trying to decipher who is right for them. Because the clients that I serve, oftentimes they have some B2B experience, whether that's in the small business or even on corporate or enterprise side of business, where they have clients and they have understanding of what high ticket offers or premium services are, and they're just looking to diversify with government contracts. It tends to be the companies that I find that have the fastest success and that have the largest margin in success. Now, I want to also talk to you this, and this is a very worthwhile tangent that I'm talking about before I circle back into the opportunities and how you actually can take advantage of them. There is a difference between a supplier and a service business. So a supplier or a product-based business has to buy a product and then resell it to the government. This is a completely different strategy compared to a service business. Similar approach to building relationship, business development, marketing, etc. But when it comes down to the pricing strategies, this is going to be different than a service business. Service business tends to have larger margins than a productized business because products or suppliers tend to have smaller margins because they're competing on price. They're commoditized. So, commoditized means that there's like apple for apples. Like, if this is a dollar apple and I can get it for 50 cents, I'm going to go with the 50 cents apple because it's exactly what I wanted and it's cheaper. So, that's how we hear a lot of myths around, well, you just have to be the lowest. Well, it's actually based off one single pricing model, and there are several. There's actually quite a bit of pricing models in government contracting that you should be aware of. And it's not always the lowest bidder. It's actually most of the time it is not the lowest bidder. It is the person or business that can showcase the best value. So that was a tangent, much needed in this point, because what I'm going to share with you now is why it's so crucial to prepare your business for excellence. I used to say that I am very competitive, and I love to compete. I love to win. And it showcases in the fact that, my clients are winning billions of dollars. They're going after, like 100 million, billion-dollar contracts. And I've also helped my clients win million-dollar contracts for their six-figure business. Or if for their seven-figure business, we get $100 million contracts. Very, very common. And I also have a high win rate, a 74% win rate. And often people say, well, why is that? Like, how are you getting such a high win rate? And it comes down to the GovCon sales strategy. And I'll share with you some details later on about that so that you could use the same strategy to get that win rate for yourself. So, the number one challenge that I see out in the market is that the majority of businesses that I speak to, that I see on the internet, that are raising their hand saying that they want government contracts, is that they're not willing to take the next step to get them. They get registered on sam.gov, and oftentimes, because that does require some work, they just burn out and then they never look at it again, or they find excuses not to take action. Now, if you're one of those buckets, I'm here to tell you that right now, and I mean right now, the time of this recording and the time of publishing this episode, right now is the next best time to get into government contracts. You have so many things working for you. All you have to do is take action. And I mean, the action is a lot less than what your brain is telling you. And so, one of the reasons why I wanted to start this podcast is to help people understand how to create wealth for themselves now and to leave wealth for them past their time. I really believe that that's what God is calling us all to do, not just to survive, but to thrive, to have success, not now, not just now, but forever, so that we could be the next Rockefellers, that we could be the next Walmarts, right? The people that are really cognizant about creating wealth that outlasts themselves. That's real legacy. So if you're making money and you're like legacy, 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 but you've never invested and you've never your business is not tied to a value asset that does not require your time, you don't have a legacy, you have a liability. And that liability can cost you an entire lifetime or many multiple lifetimes on top of it. I'll never forget the day that I read the parable of the talents for a gazillionth time in my life. And it hit me differently. You know, really quick, if you don't know what the parable of talents is, a story in the Bible that Jesus Christ shares. And there are three servants. They all get a measurement, a measured amount of talents, or what would be considered a silver in their bartering or exchange of goods and services back then, from their master. And their task was to multiply it. You know, what's really interesting is that money's love language is multiplication. If you've ever had trouble with money, and especially here in America, they don't teach you about compounding as well as they should in school. It's my belief, for various reasons that I believe. And we have to learn as adults that compounding is the way to go. Like compounding changes your life. It builds and rebuilds a relationship with money in a good way. There's a great book. It's called Happy Money by Ken Honda. Highly recommend we read it. And in the book, Ken talks about his experience with repairing his relationship with money. And I felt very touched by his experience because I saw myself in different instances. I saw where, you know, growing up, my mom had, she suffered with cancer, and she actually was diagnosed with the first bit of cancer when she found out she was pregnant with me the same day, same conversation with the doctor. And she suffered with cancer all the way through. I was 28 years old when she passed away. So very long time. Kind of played the Macarena on her, just, you know, from her brain temple to her shoulders to her knees to her back, to her leg, etc. But when it came to the prescriptions and the surgeries and her going to the ICU because the medication went wrong and things like that, it was always this sense of, okay, we got to make this stretch. And granted, I'm so thankful and so grateful that my life, I just didn't, I was not without. We had, but it was just this stretch. I remember hearing that a lot. Like, okay, we got to stretch to make sure that we pay for this surgery and this thing and that thing. And I heard that word stretch a lot. And as I got older and I handled my own finances, I realized that I had adopted a lot of the ways that my family or my mom saw money. I didn't even know I was doing it until I read this book. And it was just this eye opening moment like, oh my goodness, I have a bad relationship with money. Now, when I realized that I had a bad relationship with money, I also had to make a decision that I needed to repair the relationship. And that's a decision that I hope all of you take, is how are you talking about it? Do you say that there's not enough? There's only so much. There's I can't get more. I'm just waiting. I hope all I want is I just need. This is very limited mindset, but it's also communicating that there isn't an abundance. And so when before I share with you these abundant opportunities, I want to make sure that I'm helping you understand that these opportunities are everywhere around you. And unless you are willing and you have made a decision to repair your relationship with money, it's kind of like standing out in a rainstorm and you're the only one not getting wet. Because on top of these government contracts that I'm going to talk to you about, on top of your state, local, and education contracts, on top of your federal contracts, on top of event type contracts that we'll talk about, on top of the greatest American wealth transfer in history, trillions. I want to just take a second because I want to say it's $87 trillion dollars. And I believe that's correct. And I want to just double check. I'm going to just ask let's see, I believe it's trillions, 87. Let me make sure. I've been looking at a lot of data lately. Yeah. So it's $84 trillion. $84 trillion. $84 trillion. And it is said that 55% of the $84 trillion will be transferred to millennials. 41% will be transferred to Gen Z. I don't I I am so excited yet afraid for many of you because of your relationship with money. Being that this is the largest wealth transfer in American history, meaning that this will never happen again. And you might not know what American wealth transfer I'm talking about. So, what happened is you've heard of the baby boomers, right? So, the baby boomers is a generation, it's the largest generation that's ever lived in American history. And they're getting to, if not hitting, a in a retirement age. So their businesses, they're retiring from a 9 to 5 corporate job. They're closing businesses. They're selling their businesses. They're just like transitioning to the next phase of life, whatever that's going to be for them. And it could be like cruising the entire world, getting on their yacht, or, just fishing every day with their grandkids. Like, whatever it might be, what they're leaving behind is a lot of wealth that they have accumulated. And many people are not ready for that. Many people haven't even considered it. And on purpose, you're more likely not going to see anything in the media about it on purpose. And it's to keep people blind, busted, and broke. It's just what it is. It's a greed move, it's a greed play. And so instead of saying, you know what, I am going to just live my life how I've always lived it, this is a call for you to level up to a higher standard. Everything is aligning. If all the stars, if you like imagining, like when they say, oh, well, you're just waiting for all the stars to align before you take action, this is all the stars are aligning for you. That is really your opportunity to take action like you've never taken action before. And I am telling you that I am so excited for myself and my family, and I'm terrified for many people who are not aware that this is happening and they're not willing to take action. So that needed to be covered before we get into today's episode, because it's like a sponge, it's just if you're already soaked up with water, it's going to be really hard to soak up anything else, right? So we're trying to get rid of things that are no longer serving you. It's stale information, it's cold, and it's not going to do anything for you, so that we can make space for real good stuff that are going to transform your life. And so that I can just serve you in the most loving way to help you see these opportunities are available right now, like right now. Okay. So let's get into it. Well, man, I can't even, there's an abundant of opportunity in 2026. 2026 will be the most profitable year for many of you if you make a decision today to take action. So let me share with you. I'm just going to share my screen. I am looking at ChatGPT, and and I just asked ChatGPT quickly. I said, "Hey, Chat, tell me, like, what's going on?" And this is what it said. It said, "Well, you got the FIFA World Cup in 2026, and the final match is scheduled at MetLife Stadium in Rutherford, East Rutherford, New Jersey." So I look at the venues and I'm like, oh my goodness. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 locations for the FIFA World Cup. And here's another example. So here are the cities if you're just listening and not watching, but 2026 FIFA World Cup cities include Atlanta, Georgia, Foxborough, Massachusetts, Arlington, Texas, Houston, Texas, Kansas City, Missouri, Inglewood, California, Miami Gardens, East Rutherford, New Jersey, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Santa Clara, California, and Seattle, Washington. Now, what does this mean? This means that there is going to be an uproar or a need, a demand for tourism improvements, for roads and bridges improvements, for construction, for hospitality. I mean, really think about the FIFA World Cup. This is not just like an event. People go to the stadium for that one day. It's typically several days before and after the event. So before, there's press events for the players. There's also different dinners. There's quiet masterminds. There's different private events. There's all of these VIP sessions. There's all of these happening. And so they're going to need catering services. They're going to need AV. They're going to need electrical services. They're going to need somebody to actually serve the food. They're going to need security. They're going to need what are those cones in the streets and the parking lots. They're going to need a lot of services just to have the FIFA World Cup experience. And then there's the stadium. And then that's the security that's needed in addition to that. The traffic situation. So that's going to bring all of these people around the world to these smaller locations in our country, United States, and it's going to fill that population. So local restaurants, hotels, parks, bus stations, train systems, even like the cars, where parking lots. I mean, you just sit and imagine just for the next 30 seconds and think about just 5 seconds, because we know 30 seconds, but 5 seconds. Just think 5 seconds. How many people are impacted by one event? It's huge. And this is happening 11 times in 2026. So if I had mentioned any of the cities, and you could look this up and just quickly Google it or go to ChatGPT and look at these cities, and you will see that there's an opportunity. I mean, they're spread on the eastern seaboard. There's some central where there's Texas and Missouri, and then we've got the west side, which is California. There's two locations in Santa Clara, Inglewood, California, and then location 11 is in Seattle, Washington. So really, if you are near or around or in these arenas or these vicinities, this is an opportunity for you. Now, there's also Vancouver and Toronto that will be participating in the FIFA World Cup. And these will also be contracts through the ministry, of course, but contracts within your own country. So you might be thinking to yourself, Melinda, this is a private event. Is this a government event? No, it's not a government event, but they will be using a government facility. So, like the parking decks, the parking, the traffic, the train systems, all of that is a part of the same system. This is why when, I was working for a commercial construction firm in corporate, a lot of work would intertwine. It would be like commercial real estate and commercial construction would like layer on top of each other in one project because of things like this. Because there was money to be spent and it required different government money, state, local government money. So just really consider that these are the opportunities that are readily available to you right now. Oftentimes what happens for these major events, these national, international major events, when they're publicized and their media coverage everywhere, is that these locations go through a beautification plan. So, like a beautification plan means that aesthetically, they're going to be cleaning up the streets and the sidewalks and just making it look really polished because the goal is to help them get people to come back or extend their experience or their flight while they're there. At the airport, tons of government contracts. They're going to require more cleaning. They're going to require more hazardous, like cleaning, waste management. They're going to require more service type businesses to support them, public safety, things like that. So many opportunities. This is the time to go. And you might be thinking, well, it's in 2026. Well, here's the thing. When you host an event at your house, whether it's to watch the game, a dinner party, whatever it is, I growing up, if we had a gathering for the holidays, we would be cleaning for days, like deep cleaning, making sure everything was in place, running to the store to make sure that we had the drinks, like our guests' favorite drinks and foods and things like that. Just made sure that our house was ready and welcoming before our guests would arrive days, several days ahead of time. So most of the time, like to go out and clean the yard and, just, I mean, all these things, right? So, and then coordinate with our neighbors about parking. It was just a whole thing. So that's what every location is doing right now. They are preparing for this event. So take that in consideration. This is, I mean, it is one of the best opportunities that I see right now is getting into government contracts. Diversifying your revenue in your service business is not just a smart idea, it's a wealthy idea. It's a wealthy idea. Not waiting anymore. So most it says here it says most major cities and venues will require upgrades, logistics, security, transport, hospitality, and event operations. So lots of opportunity. Um, and then there is American 250. I This is actually the first time that I've heard of it. Heard of this. I've never heard of America 250 before. Maybe I have, and it just went over my head. But this is what I'm talking about. Like when we when we're living in this world and we're being inundated and we're consuming content and information that's not going to move the needle for ourselves nor our family, that is where the enemy loves you to be and loves you to be in delay. It loves for you to stay stuck. It loves for you to focus on, well, I need to get to B before I can get to C. So I'm going to have to wait. And before I make a decision, it's like, no, you have to realize that B and C are one package, all in one same. And so in order to get to B, you have to make a decision on C, right? So American 250, never heard this before. 250 years. Okay, so this is celebrating America for 250 years. So I guess we're doing like a road trip, a national road trip. That's kind of interesting. It's really kind of cool, actually. So that's probably why I have never heard of it before because we've never had a 250-year anniversary before. But you could see they're getting ready to go out into the world. and see that. So here's some information that it says this is a huge celebration of the 250th anniversary of signing the Declaration of Independence. The coordinating body to America 250 Commission is working. So, side note, this is a commission. So this is a separate entity. Okay, so American 250 Commission is working with states, territories, and federal government. So it is not the government, but is working with the government, state, local, and federal. Because it's national in scope, there will be state level contracting opportunities, infrastructure upgrades, public venues, event services, heritage projects. I mean, this is so good. This is so good. And this is a one in a lifetime opportunity that you could participate in. Wouldn't that be, isn't going to be amazing we're at 251 years and then 260 years, and you, in your business, you can say that you participated in your country's marking anniversary of 250 years of celebrating the Declaration of Independence. That if that doesn't resonate with people, I don't know what will. I mean, that's a pretty powerful statement that you get to say and share in any boardroom on any portfolio. It increases the value of your business exponentially with clients and prospects, knowing that you were participated in the history of America in celebrating America. Pretty powerful stuff. All right, so the last one here that I want to share with you before I share with you how to get into government contracts is this one here. This is kind of like a kind of culmination of different things in different cities and across the United States. There are different upgrades. There's venues and convention centers. There's also airports. There's different infrastructure, roads, bridges, things like that that go up. I'm actually going to show you. Pull up IJA imagery. Uh, because this one will help you understand about opportunities. So IJA is the Infrastructure Investment Jobs Act. This was something that during the Biden administration they had put into play. They had signed a bill for this. It was a requirement by law. Do you see how much money was spent? This is required by law. Like, and this was happening while everyone was consumed by COVID. It's interesting because there was very little coverage on it, but it was one of the most impactful money transfers before the greatest American wealth transfer. This right here. So you can see that the Infrastructure Investment Jobs Act, this is IJA here. This is $1.2 trillion compared to the American Rescue Plan Act, the ARPA, for COVID-19 at 1.9 trillion. That is, I hope that's making sense. So there is $1.9 trillion for ARPA for the entire United States that we all probably know of more. This required it. This is the federal stimulus bill. So when we got stimulus checks in the mail, when there was a COVID swab or test that was sent to you, or you went to a location to get swabbed and tested, this is the money. This is where it's coming from, the 1.9. Now compare it to 1.2. Insane. That's insane. 1.2. So the 1.2, the Infrastructure Investment Jobs Act, were the investment towards roads and bridges across the United States. So this is one. I'm not sure where this is located. It says 75, so it could be on the eastern seaboard somewhere, but quite one of the biggest investments in our roads and bridges thus far. And you can actually document. You can go through different media clips, and you can see presidents talk about this over decades, over decades. Like I remember there was a clip from Obama, talking about infrastructure plan and, the potholes and the bridges and things like that. In fact, when I was living in Atlanta, when I was living in Atlanta, one of the main highways collapsed in Atlanta right before summer break. If you live in Atlanta, you would remember this. This is a few years back. It collapsed. It just a part of the bridge highway just boop. It just collapsed. Okay. There was, investigations that there was a fire under it. There was some explosive. There's different reasons. People believe that this happened, but at the end of the day, this part of the bridge was it like 150 feet of bridge? It just collapsed. There was very few casualties. It wasn't too far off the ground or anything like that. I think it was only about 30 feet off the ground. So it wasn't anything complicated, like terrible that, just shut everything down. However, this main intersection was this was one of the biggest thoroughfares for 16-wheeler trucks that were going through Georgia to get to Florida. It was a huge thing, and it was right before summer break, which meant that all of the I mean, it was a thing. It was on TV everywhere, the news everywhere. This bridge collapse, and they had it up in 6 to 8 months. I actually know the engineering firm that was working on the structural design to repair it, but in just a few months. And some of the money came from this act, from this plan. So this was a large program. It was a 6-year program, and actually it ends at the end of this fiscal year. And I just remember so many bridges, so many contracts that were just kind of flooding the gates locally for every municipality. Every road, like the major road intersections, major highways, major bridges. So just thinking about that's a lot. That's a lot of money. And where did it go? It went to the infrastructure of the United States, which honestly I think was a great decision. I just would have appreciated a little bit of knowledge for other people. But that's why I'm sharing it with you so that you're aware of how this works. So there's dollars that are spent in plans. This big, beautiful bill this current administration has issued. However, you feel about it, there are dollars that are spent with small businesses. This is required by law to spend this money. As soon as it's been signed and put into plan, these are required by law to be spent. So there's a lot of initiatives for your business to win right now. Now, how do you take advantage of something like this? Do you wait? Do you just wait for the opportunity to show up on, sam.gov or whatever site that you're registered on? I recommend my GovWatch. I'll make sure to put a link down below for you to check out my GovWatch. At the end of the day, what are you doing? Are you just waiting for the solicitation? Because I'm here to tell you, after doing this for over a decade plus, is and teaching and guiding and supporting different types of businesses in the service area how to win government contracts and them winning contracts so much faster and practically effortlessly. Some of them lose, but a lot of them win more than they lose. It's like, how are they doing this? It's because we're really intentional on our strategy. Well, how can you be strategic if you're waiting for the contract to be advertised? It's too late then. It's too late. They've already identified the problem. They have an idea of what the solution is going to be. You're way too late. Way too late. You cannot, like, the relationship that you have with a contracting officer, you can build it at that point. I'm not saying you can't win, because definitely have helped my clients win contracts with agencies they've never done business with. However, it requires more effort than not. So, the number one thing that you want to do right now to prepare to win these contracts is build relationships with your state and local government offices. Federal dollars will be involved in all of this. It'll be involved in the Olympics in LA that will be here in 2028. It'll be involved in this what did we just say it was? This America 2050. It'll be involved in the infrastructure, major infrastructure and venue expansion projects in your location. Anything you see, like if you start seeing some work on the highway, or maybe on the news you hear about some new program or project, think about it like a contractor, not a consumer. Because if you start thinking about it like a consumer, like, oh, this is going to take me more time to get to work, or to the my office, or to get to the job site. Oh man, we're going to have to da, 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 and you miss this opportunity. Yes, that is all true, but you miss the opportunity to plant yourself in that deal. You're behind. So here's the thing. I recommend, if you haven't already, to register for your local business journal. Here is the Orlando Business Journal. There's a Jacksonville Business Journal. There's a Atlanta Business Journal. So your business journal, you can just quickly Google your city and then the words business journal, register. There is usually a free version, and then you can upgrade for 10, 15 bucks a month. Way worth it. Way worth it, because now when people are spending money and about to spend money, or what's already been spent. And a lot of people think to say, like, oh, well, this work is already in construction, or oh, it's already underway, or they've already completed this project, or it's too late. And actually, it's not about that specific opportunity. It's about the people involved in that opportunity that you want. You want to build relationships with deal makers, with people who are stakeholders, local stakeholders, actual contracting officers, procurement officers at your government agencies, those offices in your city, your county, in your state, all those that are in your school district for your K through 12 school district, all those at your public college or university. These are parts of the program that you want to be involved in. This is how you get involved in government contracting, the smart way and the long term way. If you wait for the solicitation, you're behind. If you start building relationships with the people who are writing the solicitation, the people that are making decisions on the solicitation and who is going to be winning that contract, you're going to be ahead of the majority of competitors in your space. 100%. Because here's the thing, most people do the reactive part. Very few people are proactive. And in fact, you're going to listen to this video, or listen to the audio, and you're going to say to yourself, yeah, I'm just going to play reactive for now. I'm not going to be proactive. It's easier. I'm comfortable. I'm used to doing it over and over again. And I'm here to tell you that's why the industry average is 10 to 15% or 10 to 12% for people who are winning contracts, because they're reactive and not proactive. So, step number one is actually really building that relationship with buyers. Step number two is understanding the GovCon sales strategy. So I'm going to close out on this, and this is where you should probably take out a piece of paper or some notes, because it's important. Step number one of the GovCon sales strategy is to prepare. What are you going to sell to the government? Like I said to you, that if you already have services, experience from corporate America that you're applying into your business, knowledge and expertise in another market or an area, and you have never done government contracts, or maybe you've done one or two, whatever it is, where you find the most success in your business, you're going to apply that to government contracting. Why? Because we want to leverage what's working. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're not trying to make our life harder. Let's just make it easy and be a wealthy leader and a smart strategist and just use what's already working. So, step number one is to prepare with the end in mind. This is thinking like, okay, so what certifications? Where do I need to get registered? Things like that. Just start really thinking about what we want or need to do. Step number two is about targeting. So, target. Step number two is target the right buyers. I recommend that you stick to no more than four buyers: one state, one local, one education, and one federal. I know that that's strict and really difficult to have discipline around. However, you're building a relationship with a buyer, meaning it's just like a business. You've got leads on leads upon leads. People are running up to you, flashing money at you, throwing money at you, and it's coming from all directions. However, you want to be really thoughtful on how you deliver excellence, because if you can't deliver excellence on all of those contracts and you can't communicate to them what they need to be hearing, then it's worth nothing. So we want to make sure that we really build a relationship with those buyers first, have some recurring contracts coming in so that we can leverage that to take a bigger play and keep growing from there. This is the success play I'm telling you that works, because when you simplify your plan and you focus on the people and you focus on what they're asking and needing you to do, not only are you going to see the wins more, but you're also going to see the recurring contracts coming in. And at the end of the day, isn't that what you want? Recurring contracts so that you can minimize your overhead costs and streamline your operations and hire more senior experienced professionals to work on the technical side of your business so that you can continue to build and grow your business exponentially faster than your competitors. Sounds great. This is how you do it. Step number three is strategize. It's about positioning. You can win as a prime, you can win as a subcontractor, you can even win as a joint venture. It's up to you how you want to position to win. Step number four is submit. Submit a proposal and a price that is going to really stand out as a strategic positioning statement. It's going to showcase your differentiation. What's going to make you different from everyone else? It's not going to be your years of experience. It's not going to be your accolades and your awards. It's going to be how you deliver excellence. It's your system. It's your framework. It's your roadmap. It's your guidebook and your lessons learned applying the system to other people's businesses or to people's to get them the solutions that they're looking for. Step number five is to track. See, once you submit a proposal, most people think it's over. Like we just move on to the next opportunity. But actually, there's this window of time that you want to pounce on and take advantage of by reaching out to the contracting officer, the one that actually gave you the results, and asking them, hey, how can I improve? Actually asking strategic questions intentionally to get feedback. Is this always going to work? No, it's not going to always work. But most of the time, if you use my questions, it will work. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, is that it? Those are the five steps. Those are the five steps of the GovCon sales strategy. And what happens is that once you start applying this, not only will you start to see the clarity of your roadmap and your path towards government contract wins, but your business is going to start making more sense along the way. You're going to work less time. You're going to be able to hire more, streamline your business, diversify your revenue, actually have more cash flow coming in once you know how to stack different government contracts on top of each other. I call this the GovCon sales strategy, GovCon stacking system, and it's going to change your life and it's going to change your business. But if you're interested in learning more about how you can actually take advantage of the FIFA World Cup or the LA Olympics or any of the America 250 or the infrastructure and expansion programs around your communities in construction, IT, professional services, or consulting, join me in GovScale Insider Masterclass. This is where I'm going to dive even deeper into the five steps and answer your real questions, making sure that you walk away with a customized roadmap If you upgrade to VIP, that's what I promise. And so this is an opportunity for you to finally stop sitting on the bleachers and in the arena and start getting on the field and playing big. Because let me tell you something. I'm telling you now, and I mark my words, this opportunity, this season that we're in right now, will never return ever again in your lifetime. So you're either ready now or you're never ready. And I recommend that you go ahead and make a decision to get ready right now. And I'm going to help you do that so that it's less work for you and more success on the other end for you and your team as well. I'll see you at the GovSkill Insider Masterclass. Thank you so much for listening in today's Legacy Builders podcast episode, and I'll see you next time.